about that because the whole co-writing thing, it works for some, doesn't work for others. So
When I love talking about it. I've co-written with several people. So
okay, well let's touch on that in just a second.
Yes.
Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink. We're the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And looks like we've got Joe, we've got Anita. Hey guys, how we doing? Hello. And Jane, I did an episode without you last week.
I saw that after, but that's okay. That's all right. I saw that as I was drinking. I was drinking around the fire. There was no way I could go on.
Well, welcome back. I hope your time off was good.
Yes.
I see you're back home now.
Toasted, yeah, yep. Honey colored, maybe.
Sure.
Sun kiss.
There we go. That's perfect. Sun kissed. I like it.
And tonight, for our guest, we have Ariel Dawn.
Hello.
She's another writer that's in Rituals and Runes with me. So, introducing Ariel.
Ta-da! Never can get the pointing thing right.
No.
It's all good.
Yeah, tell us about yourself, Ariel.
So I am Ariel Dawn. I write primarily paranormal romance, urban fantasy, and reverse harem. So yes, some of my books up here that are coming out. A Dark and Stormy Night is actually coming out on Monday. Ooh. It is part of a steamy vampire collection called Immortal Hearts through Fluffy Fox Publishing. I mentioned I do write vampires. I have Blood and Lust, which is the second book in my Ava Crowley Vampire Slayer series, which is probably like, I know we're not supposed to pick favorites, but like, I just love writing her and Cassius. They're just like my favorite. I co-write. Shifters of Starfall Creek Collection is actually the box set collection of my series with fellow USA Today bestselling author Quelty Fox. And it is a steamy reverse harem. There is some sword crossing. There is a lot of action and drama in it. And I absolutely love that series, both as a writer and as a reader. And Heaven Knows is my story that is coming out in Rituals and Runes. And it is a angel demon romance. So it's going to be very interesting. That I read a lot of paranormal romance, and I always see a lot of stuff where it's like a human and a demon, or a human and an angel. But don't really see too much of like angel and demon. And there's some other stuff in there that I'm not going to give away because it would, ruin the surprise. So I just have to read it to find out. So
I love that idea.
You've got to read in your genre if you want to be able to write well, because you know what's out there, you know what the expectations are, and you also know what they're missing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, my favorite writer, which I'm waiting for her books to come. The special editions, they still haven't come yet. They're in the mail though. They're in the mail.
We'll get them eventually.
Yep. Laura Thalassa's The Four Horsemen series. Have you read that?
I have not. I've heard of it.
Oh my God, you have to.
My TBR is just like, especially since I've started writing, my TBR is insane.
Right.
It's not.
And my husband was mentioning to somebody around the fire about the books that he's found so many indie writers, with me being an indie writer, that I don't think we'd ever get exposed to otherwise, which is amazingly awesome.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, indie and hybrid are becoming way more mainstream than they used to be. I mean,
yes.
Just look at 10 years ago, indie was hot and new, but it still had the scarlet letter of, oh, you're indie.
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, I'm indie because I'm taking full control over my books.
Yes, I want the control. I'm a control freak. Yes, I admit.
Especially at a time when we see a lot of smaller publishers folding, and a lot of authors now having to basically rehome their books, and they're faced with the decision: do I try and find another publisher? Do I try and do it myself when I get the rights back? Mm-hmm. So it's definitely shifting more towards, not just acceptability, but kind of the thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, our publishing house hasn't printed anything since we wrote together.
Oh wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm picky. I'm picky now because, if I have to put my time aside and publish something, it's got to be damn good to get my attention. I can't read like the first page and be like, oh my God, this is pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Whether the story eventually becomes better or not, I don't have the time.
Now, are you open to submissions?
I think we still are. I haven't gotten an email in a long time, but and I haven't actually gone out and looked. But
there's that too.
But I'm really, really, really picky. And I notice that in a lot of the writers now, that when we go to read something, oh my God, it has to grab us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really important in the first couple of pages. It has to grab you and not let go and make you care about somebody within the first few pages in order for you to put your time and investment into reading.
Yep.
Right. Well, we were talking about, the time is moving at like warp speed at this point. Mm-hmm. So we literally don't have time to waste on something. So it's got to be good. It's got to be, exactly what you're looking for.
Indeed. And I write very fast. So like it is, I feel like too, because of that, time does move so much quicker because I'm just focusing on the next book or the next deadline or the next whatever, that it's like, I literally sat down the other day and just the books that you brought up, like those are the ones that are coming out. Like those are the main ones that are coming out, but there's other ones coming out in between. Right. And I looked at it and I think I have like 2 releases a month until October. And then I have like 1 every week.
Wow.
That's crazy. A busy schedule. And it's hard to maintain too. So with writing so much, what do you do as your palate cleanser between books?
So I usually try to give myself 24 to 48 hours between finishing a book and starting another one. Okay. And usually in that 24 to 48 hours, I'll go try to do something else. I'll like go sit down and read, or I'll just sit on the couch and watch some Netflix, just something completely like where I can zone out a little bit.
Yeah. And for a little bit.
And I don't read as much now because of the writing so much, but I do a lot of like alpha reads and first comb throughs for some of my author friends and stuff. So that's what normally I'll like sit down to read, or I might sit down and read like one of the 1,000 books from my TBR.
Yeah, mine has gotten really big.
I don't have a TBR like pile. I have a TBR house. Like
mine's all on the Kindle.
Oh, I have so many on Kindle, and but like I have piles and piles of books. I have books in like literally like boxes, and I like hide them from my husband. And he's like, when my friends come over, because we'll always like swap books back and forth, he'll be like, "You take those right back."
That's a good problem to have. Too many books.
Yeah.
And when they're not being read, they're decorations too, because a well-stocked bookshelf is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, indeed. I don't have any big ones anymore.
Oh.
But yes, I used to have books upon books, and we gave them away when we moved.
I do try to collect a few of like, from people that I do know or that I've worked with. I write blurbs, so I've written blurbs for a couple authors, and I purchased their book and it sits on my shelf. And some of my author friends who I'm just super fans of, like I will definitely buy their books and they will go on my shelf. So yeah, I do try to accumulate a lot of that stuff too, now that I am actively writing and all of that. So
blurb writing. Oh, the thing that makes most of us cringe.
I'm great with other people's blurbs. Don't ask me to write my own. It's not pretty.
Sort of like, well, I've gotten better at them over the years.
Yeah.
Katie's one of the people that I send out. I'm stuck on this. Just take a look at it, and
I have a couple people I do that with. Yeah, it's.
You need a sounding board, because it might sound good in your head, but maybe it's not hitting a target point.
Right.
And when you only have 200 to 250 words to use, every word's got to count.
Right.
And that's why I'm terrible at writing my own, because I never know like
the whole story.
what I can give out and what I can't give out. And I'm like, well, how do I condense this into this tiny blurb without telling everything in this story? But when it comes to other people, I'm like, tell me everything about your story and I'll write a blurb.
And that's a good way to do it, because that interview style, you're kind of forcing them to condense as much as humanly possible, which then becomes a little easier to go, wait, that's an important point. That's an important point. Now this is what we're going to work with.
I've been writing the blurbs before the books now.
Yeah, I don't get
I've
that.
done that.
And you know, I have the idea in my head. I write the blurb. It's not exactly specific per se.
I've done that, and it's almost like a loose outline, right?
Yes.
You'll write the blurb, and then you'll go write the story, and then you'll come back and tweak the blurb because you might have gone off the rails in the story. Oh yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been doing that quite a bit lately. The latest book I'm writing, I wrote the blurb because I had to get the pre-order out there because the other books are already out there, and I'm like, oh man, when am I going to write this one? Because I didn't really have the full series. I did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I had general idea and I just ran with it. So do you outline, or are you just a pantser?
I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I'm definitely a pantser at heart, but I've been trying to, like, at least now I make like a loose outline, which basically sometimes looks like just a couple notes, and then other times it looks like, okay, I want to say this in this chapter. So it just kind of depends. I opened up a outline the other day to start one of the books that I'm working on, and I thought I had outlined more, and all I had was literally a cast of characters, and I was like, wow, this is the outline.
That's all you need.
I did a full outline for a book, you know, because I think I took an outlining course or something like that, or had to do it for a course. I have this full outline. I haven't written the book because it's almost like that magic is gone. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, but I've stepped back. It's been a couple of years, so now I think I'm going to write that and get that out. You know, it should be fairly quick. And
I always say writing is kind of like watching a Netflix show, right?
Yeah.
Like where it's like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next, but you literally can't wait to see what happens because you haven't written it and you don't know.
Right. Exactly. And you know, I'm writing now, you know, the piece of, okay, where I'm going next, and I'm doing the bare bones stuff, but it's like, okay, I know I'm going to have to go back and rework this because it's just boring to even me.
Oh, no.
But I have to get from here to there.
Yep.
Is that the one you sent me the first chapter on? The prequel chapter. Sorry, not the first chapter.
Yes. The prequel chapter I did fine on.
Yeah, that was good.
But it's the rest.
Oh, such a good start, though.
It's, you know, I wrote a really tense scene, and now I've got to get to the next tense scene.
The transition.
Yep.
See, now that was where you and I were really good with the co-writing, because we were able to hopscotch over each other, and she would write a scene, I would continue it, and then she would continue for me, and we didn't run into those roadblocks because as soon as she would run out of idea, I had the next idea, and then she had the next idea. It worked really well.
Yeah, co-writing is one of those things, like, everybody writes so differently, right?
Yes.
And I've written with several different people, and they all kind of have their own way of doing things, and I tend to like adapt a little bit, kind of like to what they do, so that I can blend myself into that. But yeah, when I wrote with Quell T. Fox, when we wrote our reverse harem series, Shifters of Starfell Creek, it was often like that, where it was we contrasted each other very well with how we wrote, because a lot of times I was not necessarily the big person with conflict. And she said on podcasts, like, I would try to go in and make everything nice, and then she would go in there and she would conflict it up or give some angst or whatever. And that balance, it was always like, kind of like, Ariel, this is going to happen, but we need to push it. Okay, well, now you can go in and, you know, you can sweeten the in between. Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like co-writing definitely helps push me as a writer by learning and experiencing how other people write and working with them in that aspect to strengthen my writing. So
sounds like you've got a good personality for it too.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the difficulty whenever you enter into a co-writing situation. If you're not on the same level with the person you're writing with, you don't mesh well, and your styles conflict with each other, then it becomes harder to work with. But if you're on that same level and you guys can, fill in the gaps where the other person is, maybe has a deficit somewhere, or you're stronger here and they're stronger there, you end up getting a really cool story out of it. And the experience is fun too.
Yeah.
Quell and I have written now 4 books together. So we wrote our Shifters of Starfall Creek series, which is 3 books. We have the Shifters of Starfall Creek coming out in September for the box set that has like some bonus content and stuff in it. And then we just recently wrote a male paranormal romance that's coming out in Fire on Fire, which is a collection of male paranormal anthology. That's coming out in September as well, September 12th. So
nice.
Fun story.
Yeah. I can't wait to write with Katie again. So
it really is like magic when you when you find somebody that you work really well with. So
yeah, it works.
We talk it out. Yeah, we talked out some things. There were some things, we
didn't have a lot that we were in disagreement.
There's
with.
Only one.
Yeah, put my foot down.
But she'd have ideas, I'd have ideas, and we went back and forth. And this was in sort of with the characters from one of my other books, so it was a little bit more in my world versus her world.
Yeah.
So but she had
ideas.
ideas.
Fun writing. It was fun exploring demons and hell and stuff, because I don't generally write that, so that was fun.
Oh yes, yep, and death. And fate.
Yep. I loved it. We had a lot of fun with that one, and like you said, we had ideas and we bounced off of each other. We rarely ever disagreed on something, and even if we did, it was so minor that you want to do this? Okay, sure, we'll just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Who came up with the cursed cat?
I don't remember who came up with it.
I don't know.
Who came up with the name?
I think we bounced it back and forth and said, oh.
It was one of those we need a sidekick character. Not a human, though. We need something snarky cat.
Smoke. It was a combined effort.
But that's kind of how our meetings or spitballing sessions would be. We're like, oh, that sounds good. Write that down.
Yep, exactly.
And it always helps. No, I know, because that's exactly how it was always kind of chapter by chapter when writing with Quell. And then I'd just be like, all right, let me add this to the doc and note down all the ideas and things like that. And,
the writing style I was worried about because my first draft style is very bare bones. Almost, I don't want to say it's just screenplay but it is almost that bare bones of strictly dialogue, no descriptions. I'm literally writing as I hear the characters talking. So I was like, I hope she doesn't mind that. That's my first draft looks so bare, but we worked out really well.
But that's what revisions and editing and stuff is for too. And I think that's the other part of co-writing that I feel sometimes when people will ask me for advice on, co-writing, I'll say, not only do you have to kind of gel with somebody as a writer, but you also kind of gel with them as an editor. Because you're going to be editing each other's stuff, or making changes to each other's stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, and for some people that, they don't want their stuff changed, know?
Right.
I think that's
we called it layering. We went through and layered. I think we did it three different or 4 different times after that first one.
Yep.
But the jumping and we would write scenes ahead because when we were stopped, that's something she taught me. Is to jump ahead and write scenes and the bare bones stuff. Some of that stuff has made, believe it or not, my writing faster.
Yeah, when you have to kind of puzzle in sometimes. Yeah.
Yep.
And you're like, oh God, I have a scene that hasn't happened for 5 chapters yet, but I need to get it out.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's okay, if I'm stuck here and I have something in my head, write it down. And that has helped so much. And then you have to do the transition between.
You do eventually figure it out, though. Even if you feel like there's no way I'm going to get over this hurdle. and then you write the other stuff. You come back, you're like, oh, that was easy. Hold on.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I have a document. I call it the cloud of scenes. Ooh. And it's stuff that's like written a little bit like out of context, because sometimes I'll get an idea for a book either I haven't written yet or a book that I'm working on and it doesn't fit in quite yet. So I'll put it in the cloud of scenes. And then other times I cut things from books and I put it in the cloud of scenes. Yeah, so just because I might have not used it for that doesn't mean I can't repurpose it. Yes. And it might not fit in somewhere else. So I call it the cloud of scenes. It's all like little stuff that needs to be pieced in somewhere, somehow.
I love that. I love that. I've got a folder on my drive that's called Stories in Progress, and it is just filled with random snippets from, you know, whatever I've cut and saved, because I won't delete it, because it, like you said, might need to use it on a different story.
And I've done that. So, yeah.
I every cover that I have has a Word document with the title name in it, you know, under my work in progress folder.
So organized.
And it's numbered of what I'm going to do now. That is, you know, renumbered very.
I am not
often, you know,
organized.
very often because I do that, and you know, there are notes in them and things like that. Oh, I think I want to do this. But it's just like, you know, the renumbering thing is fun, because then, you know, when I put it to my shared drive, I have all of these new documents that are different numbers.
I'm much more organized when I write with someone else than when I write by myself. When I write by myself, it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, I think I have this somewhere. But when I write with somebody else, I have like itemized lists and like information docs and stuff, almost like series Bibles. But like when I write by myself, I have none of that.
Yeah, I you know, I have like bullets, you know, if I'm in, you know, writing, and my outline is like maybe 6 bullets. But as I'm going on, I'm like, oh, I want to do this, so I put a bullet at the end. And God forbid if I ever publish those instead of the real thing.
Oh God.
The crazy
I have a feeling you can still make it work.
Yeah, the crazy notes. These are the crazy notes.
Yeah, I like that she's organized, because I'm so disorganized. I need that babysitter, that accountability person to be like, hey, where's the stuff?
Yeah.
And sometimes just the pressure I put on myself, knowing that she's already written her X amount of words for the day and I haven't written anything. I'm like, I can't not turn something in. Jane will be mad at me.
I'm not that bad.
No, but I put the pressure on myself, so it's good for me, because it forces me to step up a little bit.
Yeah. Like today, I wanted to read, and I'm like, no, you have to put that aside, and you have to get some words written, because you haven't, you know, you've been on vacation. Yeah. You know, I've attempted to try to get stuff on my Facebook group, but I've, you know, failed miserably at getting it done in the morning. But it's just like, okay, now you have to write. So it's like,
do you have like a preferred time that you write? Like
no.
On schedule? No.
I
usually write at night.
Yeah, well, I work during Monday through Friday. I have an office job, so, you know, until 5 I'm writing, and then I eat dinner. I mean, I'm working and then I eat dinner, then I'm writing during the week. On the weekends, depends on what we have going on. If I don't have anything going on and we're not at the beach, I'll write. If we're at the beach, I'm sitting out on the porch in the sun, just chilling, watching the ocean.
I find I write best when it's like 9-10 o'clock at night, and like especially like my husband goes to bed or something, then I can like stay up till 1. Usually I stay up till like about 1 or 2 in the morning, and that's when I get most of it out. I can't seem to write during the day. My job, I usually work in like the afternoon. So during the day is when I usually do a lot of my more administrative tasks, the marketing stuff, the promotion, like all that stuff. And then when I have at least like a couple hours at night after husband goes to bed or before I go to bed, that's when I write.
Yeah.
I try to get in 1,000 words a night if I can.
That's a good goal.
That's my goal.
That is a good goal. Yeah.
You know, and normally I can do it in a couple hours. So like 7 to 9. But But that's when I'm not playing on social media.
My God, I know.
We'll start using the cold turkey because it locks your computer out. All you can do is type. And if I set the timer and give myself 30-minute, sprints, it's like, okay, I can do this. I can sit down for 30 minutes and not be distracted and get something done. And amazingly, the word count does add up quickly doing that. Surprise! Actually sitting it down and writing reduces lots of words. Go figure. But still, once that 30-minute timer goes off, my computer unlocks. I'm like, I'll just check my email.
I think it depends on how connected I am to what I'm writing too, because there are certain characters, like I mentioned earlier, I love writing Ava and Cassius. Anything in their world just comes so easily and smoothly. But there's other times I'm writing stuff and I'm like, this is gonna take a minute,
Yeah.
It's I still like the characters and I'm still connected to them, but it just takes a little bit more. It's not as fluid as it is with writing.
When you get to those scenes, like the ones you're dreading writing, something's got to happen. You're not 100% sure how you're going to make it happen, and it's not exactly a fun scene. Got to sit down, got to do it, got to make it through the scene. Those are the hard ones.
I have a harder time with the third book in a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Probably because there is this is the end of the series.
Yeah.
And I definitely noticed that when I'm done with a series, I have to take a few days because I have a mourning period. It's really weird.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. When we finished wrapping Hollow's Legacy, which was the last book in the Starfall Creek series, it was I was emotional because that was my first fully completed series, but also I had gotten so attached to the characters and I was like, oh my God, it's over. But then I'm writing bonus content, so it's not over.
Yeah, especially after so many years of writing I've had characters span from the beginning of my writing days through the Death Chronicles, which was last year. The same characters weaving in and out through, umpteen books. And at the end of that, right at the end of writing that, I knew I wasn't necessarily going to revisit those characters again.
Oh.
And that, I love those characters. Yeah. I know. I probably could, but I'm like, let it lie.
Their time. You let them breathe for a bit.
They're not rattling around in my brain anymore.
Anita,
when we wrote that series, we wrote it very quickly, just because we had found working together worked so well. And immediately when we wrote the first book, we knew that it was definitely going to be more than one book because it was only supposed to be one book, and it turned into a trilogy. So by the time we did get to it, because we started the first Hollow's Sunrise came out in August, and then we wrote and released Sunset, which came out in October, and then Legacy came out this past January.
Wow,
okay.
So we wrote them and released them fairly quickly. So by the time, and we were writing all through that, by the time that it came out, I was just like, oh my God, it's done.
Oh my God. I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them.
Did you see over here what Anita's saying? If she's stuck, she just kills something.
Yeah, I know.
When in doubt.
I thought you would appreciate that, Jane.
Yes, I do. But I've gotten soft, I guess.
What? A lot of times if I get stuck, because I mentioned I write in multiple books at once, I will go and write a completely different genre.
Right.
And then I will come back to it with fresh eyes, and then I'll be able to pick back up.
Yeah.
I'll go from writing a monster reverse harem to I also have another pen name where I write clean romance. So I'll go from one to the other and then come back.
A little palate cleansing by switching stories.
Yep. Yeah, I have to write a fairy tale romance, and then the third book in the Shades of Night series, which is urban fantasy paranormal romance. So they're the vein is kind of close in this one versus the last one with my dragon books. That was definitely urban fantasy, and I was writing Jasmine, which is the book in Rituals and Runes, at the same time. So that was another fractured fairy tale. So that came easy. Belle came easy. The one I'm writing now is Hook. It's it's coming a little harder. But it's summertime.
That was the blurb you sent over.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah. I commented on that one.
Yes, you did. Yes. And I incorporated it.
I haven't delved too much into the retelling genre yet, but I do have a retelling I am working on. Hopefully I will be releasing it in October. That is the goal, but it is a vampire fairy tale retelling of Phantom of the Opera.
Ooh.
So
nice.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool.
I tend to have this thing where I kind of, a lot of the things that inspire me, media, different books, movies, whatever, it's just somehow they kind of make it in, and it's almost like Ariel does this, Ariel does that sort of thing. Like Stormbringer is my dystopian urban fantasy, and I always say that Ariel does Marvel because it's kind of very like superhero-esque. And that comes out in Wicked Fates, which comes out August 23rd, so you can check it out in there. So it's the first book in my Elementalist series. So
cool.
Now, what's the average word count on your books?
Usually somewhere between 35,000 to like 45,000, but I have written books that have been longer. Hades, which is part of the Speed Dating with the Denizens of the Underworld series, actually came in, I think, somewhere around 55K. So that was one of my longer ones. And the last Hollows book was, I think, near like 100,000 words. I mean, those weren't all completely me because it was co-write, but so yeah, I've written longer ones, but I tend to kind of hang around the 35 to 45K.
Yeah, it's a pretty healthy count. And then once you've got the series done, that makes a good size box set, especially if you can get it printed in hardcover now. They look so nice. I love that. And Anita says she's editing a collection of horror fairy tale retellings. That sounds delicious.
So like original style fairy tales, because original fairy tales were kind of horror.
Oh, the Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah.
Well, some of mine I twisted into the paranormal romance, but some of them are horror like. Yes.
Yeah, when she doesn't warn me.
Blood and Lust, actually, the second book in my Ava Crowley vampire series takes place at a horror movie convention.
That's so cool.
What a great setting too.
That particular series, like I said, I just it's one of my favorite series to write. There's a lot of pop culture references in that. It's kind of like my homage to all those things. So I always say, if you're a fan of Supernatural, like, you'll love the Ava Crowley series because there's lots of supernatural nods in there. Yeah, like my main character Cassius, who goes by Cass, like that's because of Cass. So and he's a little bit inspired by him. And Ava, I always like to say, is the perfect blend of Dean Winchester and Buffy Summers.
Ooh,
so
okay,
nice. Nice.
That's like my Agents of Asset series. That's my love letter to all things fantasy. Which someday I'll finish the 5th book.
Yes, I know. I've been beating you up on that.
I'm blocked on that one. There's a reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm blocked on it. It's okay. I have other work to do anyways.
That's good. That's good.
So speaking of conventions, because I know before we started recording, we were talking about both of us have a love of conventions, and I absolutely love going, boothing, selling, doing panels and whatnot, but you do too. So where did your love of conventions start?
I've always been obsessed with the idea of Comic-Con. I can remember being like a teenager and like there weren't really many conventions over here other than like Star Trek conventions. And I just kept thinking, like, if I ever, like, the only place I could go to a convention was Japan. Fast forward to now, you know, like the ease of access of conventions is just like, it's almost like the norm now. And my first convention I went to, I believe, was in 2014. And it was a My Little Pony convention. It was BronyCon because my husband is a brony. And my friends and I all went, and it was like the first time we really like went to like a big convention where we dressed up, right? Because we'd been to like little cons around here, like, but it wasn't anything major like that. And we went and we cosplayed, and that was like patient zero right there. And so we started doing that a lot more, and we've been to Dragon Con. I've done 2 Supernatural cons.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think my soul left my body when Jared Padalecki hugged me. Like but yeah, Dragon Con is like our big convention that we really like to do, and we've done quite a few times, and cons have always been kind of a big thing for me and my friends, and I have so many fun stories from just conventions alone, and just the people and meeting the celebrities and the different things that I've cosplayed as. I primarily like to cosplay as Disney princesses. So I've cosplayed, I have 2 Ariel cosplays. I have Princess Belle. I've done Jessica Rabbit. I've done Poison Ivy. So I've done quite a few.
Love it. That's
awesome.
awesome.
I love conventions too. I was that kid that was at the Star Trek conventions because I grew up in a Star Trek household. So I was raised on it. So sci-fi was all over my household growing up. So I'm equal opportunity, Star Trek and Star Wars, love them both. But that was my roots. I grew up full uniform, Next Generation uniform, going to Star Trek conventions with my mom. Awesome. Oh yeah, it's been in my blood since I was a kid. I loved it. And now going as an author though, especially Dragon Con, do you get to do any of the panels?
So the last time I went to Dragon Con last year was my first time going to like a convention as an author, because I've only been writing since 2020. Okay. So I'm still kind of fresh, I guess, even though we're 2 years into it now. But so when we went to Dragon Con, I wanted to check out like all these different writer panels. So I did get to do a lot of that. I was primarily following in the urban fantasy track. So I did a lot of panels that had like Patricia Briggs and Jim Butcher and Kimber Swain. And so it was very, very eventful and very helpful, and just really cool to sit in there and have these kind of discussions about magic systems. And I did like a couple workshops, and I definitely would love to go back to another convention and do more of that type of stuff. I even did, I think like it was a TikTok panel that they had there on like, just like creating content and stuff, and how not to get burned out while you create content sort of thing. So but that was my first time going to like a convention where I did more of that stuff than the strict, fandom based stuff. So, but it was fun.
Those are super, super fun to go to, and especially because with Dragon Con, it does blend the two. You do get the regular fantasy convention, but you also get the author side of it, where you can really, drill down nuts and bolts, take some good classes, meet with authors. I mean, it's really cool. If I lived on that side of the country, I would be signing up every year.
Yeah, it was definitely a whole different con experience than the experiences I've had before, which both are equally fun, but it was definitely a lot more sitting in panels and like taking notes and like just trying to like soak up all the amazing feedback that they had. So,
and of course, speaking of, you know what I'm going to say, speaking of conventions, it's almost time for Combat Con. Ooh, coming in 2 weeks, and we and the writers have finally finalized all of our scheduling. So we have a 4-day intensive where we're going to be teaching how to write, what to write, how to employ conflict, all the good stuff. And the scenes that the students will be writing in those classes with us will be filmed and showcased at the event. It's going to be an amazing weekend, and that's 2 weeks away. I can't wait.
That is so cool.
Yes. If you've not heard about Combat Con before, this is a convention. It's like a diamond in the rough. It is small enough to be intimate and to really get to know everybody, but it is on that tipping verge of just blowing up. And it's one of those conventions that, not like a typical Comic-Con, this one does have its theme. It is about combat. And I know a lot of people say they see the swords and stuff and think, oh, so it's a LARPing convention. No, it is dedicated to all forms of combat. Yes, they have HEMA tournaments. They have lightsaber tournaments. They also have about 200 or so classes going on throughout the entire convention, where you can try out various different styles of combat, sports nutrition, training, different forms of yoga. They have longsword yoga. I can't wait to do that one.
That sounds so cool.
It's to
does,
teach people how combat is applicable. Find your style, and it is still applicable, whether you're a writer and you're writing for books or film, whether you're a filmmaker and you need to learn how to film the right action angles. If you're a stunt actor, learning how to throw the punch without actually punching the guy. There are tracks for every single one of these different disciplines. And that's what makes this such a unique convention. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that sounds
amazing. It's in Vegas.
From the writer perspective of like being able to watch that and learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That is very cool.
And that's why we based our program on that. So we're, for the writing specific intensive, we're teaching, yes, the nuts and bolts of how to write scenes. But then we go deeper. We're actually taking history of weapons classes with weapons masters. We're taking practical application where you can get in and work with the moves and the weapons to feel how it feels to hold them.
Soak up that information firsthand, know how to.
Yes, because when you know, you can write better.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really cool. And we're blending it all so that you see from writer to filmmaker to actor, every part of it, how it can come together.
That is very, very cool.
It's very, very cool. And it's in Las Vegas.
If you can't go this year, put it on your calendar for next year in July.
Yep.
Las Vegas. What a better place to go, right?
Oh my God. Yes. Been to Vegas 3 times. Love it.
So you learn how to fight all day and then you go drink all night. Perfect vacation. But yeah, I've always been just a fan of going to conventions. I love the feel. I love the people, the energy. These last 2 years that we weren't able to go to conventions, I missed it so much because it was like a connection point, a touchstone. You go so many years in a row, people remember you. They come back and go, what's the next book I haven't gotten from you yet? I mean, it's just,
it's a completely different like experience. And I've always said, just conventions in general are not for the faint of heart because they're not like these very relaxed scenarios. They are high energy and
and lots of people, and if you get claustrophobic, that's a problem.
yeah there's definitely like sometimes you just gotta like go sit in a corner and just be like, I need to box myself for a minute. But yeah, it is, there is nothing like the experience of like that high energy and the sharing of the fandoms, and it's just something else. It really is.
That's one of my favorite things too, when I'm doing a booth and it's always awkward to like cold call somebody or to try and reach out to somebody who's just passing by and, hey, buy my book. You don't want to come across as a used car salesman. But when you go to these conventions, they're literally wearing their fandoms out for everyone to see. So it's no longer, hey, buy my book. It's, oh my God, I love that show. And then you've got that connection point organically. And you build that relationship based on the mutual connection you've got. And it just feels so much nicer. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really missed him. And then I did Phoenix earlier this year, and I will do Las Vegas Comic-Con in September. Oh, it's so good to be back. But we need that. I mean, especially, I don't know, you guys writing during the pandemic, if you felt that disconnect or if you were able to do it just connecting through the computer. But I really felt it, the lack of connecting with the readers. I missed it so much.
Yeah, I haven't done cons yet.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you going.
I know. I just have to get there at the right time, and it doesn't.
I can't wait to do like my first like book con though. And I have that on the schedule. It's for 2024 though. It's Getting Witchy in Salem.
Oh, nice.
I really wanted to do it next year because that's when they're starting. But it just didn't. I think instead my husband and I are just going to go up and we're going to do like a Salem weekend trip, and then I'm just going to pop by and kind of say hi to everybody. But I'm really, I can't wait to like do more like signings and conventions as an author and like really connect and engage with readers. Like, because as you can see, I am a natural born chatterbox, and
we love that though.
And I just feel like I would love that.
I mean, I loved being a fan at the Rhode Island Comic Con when my son and I went. We went we got to meet Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and it was awesome. And yes, we talked to him for a little bit, and I said, yeah, he's been watching Supernatural since the beginning. And he looked at me, and I said, yeah, he was 4, maybe not my brightest mom moment, but he started laughing.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure that's not like the weirdest thing they've heard. So.
But my son he's just like me with the, the fantasy mind and stuff like that. So it was good.
You wrote a book with your son. Talk about a
trilogy
crazy
with my
co-writing
son.
partnership. That's
That
amazing.
is so cool.
Yeah, he was 12 at the time, and of course, I think Supernatural, with the introduction of death, made him start thinking.
Oh my God! And is that not one of the most epic
introductions? Yes.
Yes. With that song, "My Name Is Death." Like, oh my God.
Oh yes. So he came up with a story about the son of death. So we wrote the Death Chronicles together.
So cool.
Yes.
I still that writing relationship would have been so awkward. I couldn't have written with my parents.
I don't know. I made him turn red, 3 Shades of Red a couple times,
Oh, that's great.
in the story, the characters kiss. I said, well, how did he feel? He goes, I don't know. Okay, well, what did her hair smell like? She goes, I don't know. I don't go around smelling girls' hair. And I looked at him. I said, well, maybe you should.
Oh my God. He's like,
I was like, no, Mom.
You're not wrong.
That is great. Oh my God.
Yeah, but he eventually came, started thinking. I said, you got to involve the other senses. You can't just say they kissed. Mm-hmm. How did he feel? What was he thinking and all of that stuff. So I got him to really dig deeper and get the emotional connection there. But he learned a lot from me.
And he's still talking to you too. So I mean,
yes,
that's always a bond.
He still visits me. He still wants me to look at his writing.
Oh, that's awesome.
See, that's a sign of respect right there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows you're going to give it to him straight, and he still invites the pain.
Yeah, he says he's written some scenes he doesn't want me to read. And I'm like, are they sex scenes? He's like, yes. I'm like, okay.
He's like, yes, and this will land me in therapy if you read them.
Yeah, when your dad reads your erotica, that's always when you've made it.
I refuse to let my dad read my reverse harem. He wants to read it, and I've basically been like, over my dead body, like, you will not read this.
I gave my father my first book. And
my first book's not too bad. My dad has my Forevermore series. I was like, this is the one you can read.
This is the book that my father has told my mother, you do not read this.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's the only book he has said, no, you don't want to read this, Judy.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I figured if I could have my father read it and be okay with it, I would be okay getting my book out there. Because it's called Survival Games. It's a thriller where a woman gets kidnapped by a snuff and porn ring. So there you go. Yes. And he's like, has a lot of sex in it. He goes, but the story guide kind of dictated that.
You're like, there was a reason.
Yeah, exactly. But it was I'm sure it was hard for him to read, but he gave me constructive feedback.
So was writing like the steam and the sexy stuff always been easy for you? Because I am still learning how to do it.
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
The sex scenes and the kill scenes. I'm sure Anita will agree. Those two are probably the easier for me to write. I don't know.
I find
fight scenes.
I think
yeah.
I think it was when I was co-writing the Shifter series, that's when I really kind of started to play around more with introducing steam and being able to write steam. I went from not being able to literally, write certain words to all of a sudden I was writing scenes between 3 people. So it was like kind of, you know, there was no dipping my toe in the water. It was just all of a sudden I just kind of jumped in. And I feel like ever since that, each book that I write, I get a little bit more comfortable and it gets a little steamier. But I definitely kind of normally I hover around the mid steam. Although some of my books, I recently have a Dark and Stormy Night coming out, and that is a menage. So I mean, I definitely am playing around a little bit more with it, and the more
that's the 90s one, right?
Yes. So A Dark and Stormy Night is set in summer of 1996. It is heavily inspired by Cruel Intentions, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and R.L. Stine's original Fear Street books.
See, I told you that was a good year.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
So yeah, and it is a vampire menage, and there is some female action in it as well. So that was a lot of fun to write. That was, you know, me again, kind of like, instead of dipping the toe, we just jump right in.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need
my
that
transitions are like jump from cliff to cliff.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I wrote erotica first, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Jessica, that's where we started.
Yep.
Give me a couple of years, I'll probably get there.
Let's talk about jump in head first.
But I'll get there.
Well, I was 42 when I started seriously writing, so I had dabbled in it in, you know, high school, college, and then got married, and not so much. We needed to pay the bills, and got corporate job, and I did get paid for writing. I was a business analyst, so all technical stuff for years. It's just not, you know, all the stories kept building up and building up and building up.
Well, no wonder you write so fast.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I felt pressured, because I'm like, she writes so fast. I got to show something.
Well, I think Ariel has me beat with how many books she's putting out.
I don't know how people have said to me, they're like, I don't know how you do it, because I PA and I do other stuff on top, and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, I don't know how I do it either, but maybe coffee. I don't know.
I don't drink coffee. I am not your typical author.
I still don't get that.
This is me. If I drank coffee, I would be like steroids.
Well, I have ADHD and then I have coffee, so maybe that's how I do it. I don't know.
I think if I had a babysitter, you know, a taskmaster, somebody just sitting behind me, smacking my hands and keeping me on track, I would do a lot more.
Yeah.
I definitely fail in the executive dysfunction department.
Oh, I fail in the executive dysfunction department like daily. It is definitely a struggle. But yeah.
Well, live and die by the calendar too. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
My post-it notes. I got post-it notes everywhere for everything.
Yep.
And if it's something I really need to remember, I write the post-it note and I put it on my computer. So when I open my computer to go do what I want to do, I'm like, oh crap, I have to do this.
Unless you're busy when you open your computer.
Yeah.
No, see, I'll do that, but then I'll be busy when I get to my computer, and I'll move the sticky note and
I've done that.
Forget it.
Yeah. See,
totally
like, oh, you can't see this. Oops, you can't see this.
Oh no. Wait, oh, yep,
oh my God.
September. Yeah. Which July isn't quite as bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No.
I do have a calendar. Like I have my own calendar for all my author stuff that is like separate from my calendar, like in my phone, so that I can, because I tend to accumulate things, and I'm like, oh crap, I have this coming up, right? And deadlines and all that. So it definitely is a lifesaver.
Well, I have doctor's appointments. I have everything on that. So it's like all of the spilling ink shows, everything. And when I'm away and that, so it's all on there.
Live and die by it. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't happen.
Exactly. It doesn't happen.
That's why,
what's on the calendar? I don't know. Well, then it doesn't exist.
I have to stop and put things on the calendar immediately, because if I wait and forget to put it on the calendar, didn't exist. And then, you know, I'm in the bathtub when Jane messages me, aren't we having a show today?
You're like, sure.
I don't know if we're having a show. It's not on the calendar. Are we supposed to? And then we'll get on and just shoot the shit.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. We'll talk about astrology and what it's doing in our writing and our lives.
Hey, those episodes are fun. I enjoy those.
Yes. Or whatever's happening in the, you know, writing world, anything major, like.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something to talk about. I don't think we've ever had a time where there was just nothing.
Right. And we can, I mean, you're chatty too, so it works. Welcome.
I like doing this show. We don't have to have like a hard agenda. We can just have a nice kickback, hang out with our people.
It's a round table hangout.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for a while we were doing drinking with authors on Friday nights, so we would be drinking and talking.
We need to bring that back again. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Get Jane to completely not have a filter.
You know, it happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the last show, Ariel, I was taken out to a deck bar, and I think I had 2 wicked strong drinks, and it was supposed to be a serious show.
Yeah.
And you're over there trying not to laugh.
And I'm trying to speak clearly because 2 drinks does me in. But I mean, it was the Women's Guide to PTSD, so it was a serious topic. So I had to curb my drunkenness.
You're like, you cannot blink, you cannot laugh.
Exactly.
What was even funnier is she was supposed to be the host and I was supposed to be the guest.
Yes. Which threw me. And the other host didn't say a hell of a lot.
Never done a podcast before. She was just like, wait, I have to be there? Wait, hold on. I was like, we are She's our marketing lady for the book, so she's part of the process.
Yeah. So tipsy me had to run the show and ask intelligent questions.
Oh my
God. Katie said I didn't do too bad, but I was like, oh my God.
The beauty of that one is when Virginia starts talking, she has so much passion for helping people with PTSD that you almost don't have to do anything. You just let her go because she's going to reveal all of that passion in what she's talking about. And that just makes you want the book even more.
That's awesome.
But I did have some decent questions.
Yes.
You're like, through the fog, I had the questions.
Exactly. It's like, oh my God, why did you guys do this to me? And then I went out to the fire and had some more.
Another drink.
As one does.
Yes.
You got to celebrate your win.
Exactly.
Speaking of panels coming up, next Friday, JD Estrada put this one together for the Authors Writing Conference. We are going to be doing a panel. Anita's going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's going to be an interesting topic. We're talking about keeping your voice through multiple books that you write in multiple series. So that's going to be a fun conversation. I will put the link and all that information in the show notes after we're done here. As usual, give me 10 minutes after the show's done. For those of you who are watching this after the fact, it'll already be there. But yeah, next week, check it out. It'll be on YouTube. It sounds like a fun topic. I like when we do get some interesting topics to dive into, and especially with a panel, you've got a lot of opinions that can go into it. So I like that.
Yes, and JD is awesome.
Yes, always.
Yes.
Always.
So what do you have? What's the next book coming out for you? The Dark and Stormy Night?
A Dark and Stormy Night comes out on Monday.
Yep, I need that one.
Yep.
Followed by Blood and Lust comes out August 9th. Shifters of Starfell Creek comes out September 6th. And Heaven Knows comes out in October.
Did we talk about who does your cover work or how you pick the covers for your books?
We did not. I have a couple different designers for my covers. So most of my Forevermore covers and the Shifters of Starfall Creek covers are done by Leah Taylor at Love Drunk Pre-Mades. And she also did Heaven Knows. Dark and Stormy Night was done by RJ Creatives, and the Blood and Lust covers, the Ava Crowley covers, are done through Naughty Nights Press, my publisher. So
I'm loving that gritty 90s feel that goes with that Dark and Stormy Night. I really like that.
I love that cover. Like I just and RJ knocked it out of the park. I gave her some images and I said I really wanted a 90s feel to it. I gave her like, because I have R.L. Stine Fear Street books. They were some of my favorite books to read like as a teenager. So I sent her some of the covers and I said I don't want this exactly, but I want it to feel kind of in that vein. Yeah. And she did. She just knocked it out.
She did
a
fantastic job.
Really I like the way it looks. It's definitely got the feel, the muted color palette. I dig it. I think it looks cool.
Thank you.
And of course, the Blood and Lust. That's another one I'll have to add to my TBR because that's right up my alley.
Oh, that one is. It's been a little bit of a long-awaited sequel because Blood and Bones came out last October.
Okay.
And so this is the sequel to that, and it is a scorching sequel. Like, ooh. Oh god, it is so good. It is so good. It is so hot.
And Jane, how about you? What do you got coming down the pipe?
I have releases in October, so I've got Rituals and Runes. That's the set we're in.
Okay.
I have and on the same day. Oops. I have Tainted Mind.
Is that one of these?
Yep. The third book on October 4th. And then on October 11th, I'm shooting to have Hook.
Ooh.
Yes. So, so by June of next year, I think that's the time frame, I'll have the hardcover Fairy Tale 1 through 10 series.
Ooh, wow, that is so exciting.
Yep, I'm getting a special cover from Cora Graphics. Love Cora.
Oh, she does good work.
Yes. Did you see the ones she did for John Mayberry?
No.
She did the Ghost Road Blues.
Oh, yes, I did see those.
Series. Yes, she did that.
Yeah. That's her?
Yeah,
that's not her normal style.
No, it's not. It's beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, I would have never thought Cora did. Not that she's not talented, but that's not typically the style she goes for.
Right.
You can find someone who's versatile. That is,
yes,
across all different genres. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those books looked cool. I saw those popping up on my feed. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
My TBR list is getting way too long.
Mm-hmm. I love my cover artists. I have a few now that I religiously
I have very few. Like I have maybe like 4 or 5 cover artists, and they're the only ones I basically go to. Not that I haven't used other people, but primarily I stick to those because I just like their work and always feel like they're on spot and great to work with. So.
Right.
Somebody you can work with that you connect with, use them.
Oh, and
hard to find ones that are perfect for you. So when you do find those magical unicorns.
Yeah, Anna Cruz did these for me this month. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Are you all ready?
Yes.
Let's see.
Drum roll, please.
Dun dun dun.
Wow.
Yeah, this was this first one was a pre-made, and then she did Rogue Shadows and Crown Shadows this month. I just got Crown Shadows. Yes.
Those are pretty.
I love to see the covers of a series when they're together. They just look so good,
Oh yeah.
I like it.
She did a stunning job there.
Mine pales in comparison compared to y'all, but next month, PTSD, Acknowledge and Heal, our women focused guide to PTSD is coming out.
That is awesome.
Which is awesome.
I'm excited. We've been working very, very hard to get this one finished. And it's been an interesting journey doing it. It's not exactly, like writing fiction. We put our characters through hell.
Yes.
But writing parts of that one were like going through hell because it was very triggering because you're reliving some of those traumas that you recognize. So But if it helps people, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
So that was the book I was, tipsy interviewing. But they did a fantastic job too. Yes.
Yeah, super, super serious book.
Yes. Oh, well.
And Jane with the giggles. I love it. Hey, we had a good time. We had a good time.
Yes.
And tonight was a wonderful time. Thank you, Ariel, for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, this was a great conversation. So, like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Let us know when you got some free time because we love doing these hangout chats.
Definitely.
And for everyone else out there, I believe we're back next week, and then we're gone the week after. So
the 23rd, you're at Combat Con, and I'm at a wedding. That's why I'm not there.
A different kind of combat for you.
It's not mine. So yes.
So we will see you guys next week with another episode of Spilling Ink and some more authors to chat with. Take care, guys.